This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Warning, the following broadcast contains adult language, adult content, frank safety discussions, and stories that might sound unbelievable. But believe me, every one of those stories is true. We didn't start the safety war, but we are going to fight to win it. For our families, for our communities, for our workplaces, and for our lives. Hi, this is Jim Polzel with Safety Wars. Today we're going to take on a little bit more of a serious topic on our broadcast here, or podcast, whatever we're calling it, mental health. So for the month of September, we always have a theme of disaster preparation, and that's in line with the United States, it's Disaster Preparation Month, among other things. And we talk about all different types of scenarios, water safety, food preparation, things of that nature. Today we're going to talk specifically about suicide. This week is in the construction industry is Suicide Awareness Week in the United States. And I just wanted to put out there a couple of comments here. Safety Wars was set up in part to address a lot of the issues nobody wanted to talk about. So in our podcast, what have we spoken about? And I'll have the links down below in the comments section. We talk about psychopaths in the workplace. We talk about gaslighting. We talk about how to manage situations. We also discuss what safety professionals specifically have to deal with as far as pushback from whatever corporate culture they're in often, and the different tactics. These are all meant to address a lot of the things that we deal with, and also mental health issues, because a lot of safety professionals are mentally abused. I'm sorry, it's the way it is. A big problem with depression, especially what I observe. So what does it come down to? You're a person who is often thrown into a situation with little or no authority. So you have no authority to hire people, you have no authority to fire people, you have no authority to discipline people, you have no authority to incentivize safety in a positive manner. You have none of this stuff, and often the C-suite does not. It's been my experience the overwhelming majority of times that I've had been on sites now over 30 years, where they don't necessarily have your back, especially a lot of the mid-level managers. So what are you left to do? You're left to have huge amounts of stress, health issues. I don't know what the public health situations are, but I see a lot of people with diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, just personality disorders from being abused. I didn't realize how bad of an issue it was, at least in my world, in my sphere, until a couple years ago, where I gave a presentation at Rutgers as part of the OSHA Outreach Recertification Program. I believe it was construction, where I went through and I talked about Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. And we went through the whole thing, item by item by item, and the 13, I think it's 13 rules that are there. Anyway, at the end of it, there was silence. And that's what we're here for, is to describe to you what situations you may have. Maybe give you an idea how I or other people have resolved them. Safety FM, the network we're on, in a broader sense, always discusses mental health issues, suicide, things of that nature. And it's to, one, encourage you, if you are feeling suicidal, you have mental health issues, there are resources out there. You can get resources, you can get help. They're all out there, all over the place, all over the internet. You can Google it. Number one. Number two is, what are we going to do? How do we react to this? So part of the thing that we do is we try to give you ideas of what to expect, then encourage you to find solutions on your own. And as I discussed with a colleague earlier this week, things are not as bad as they seem. You're living in a moment, you're being stressed out and everything. Things may not be as bad as you seem. Often they're not. I'm going to say the overwhelming majority of times things are not as bad as they seem. It's a way of manipulating you a lot of times, because people are manipulated by emotion, and you're being manipulated to be controlled and everything else. And there are multiple ways you can be manipulated. Second thing is this. A lot of numbers here. In the long term, things have a tendency of working out. That's what life experiences. Things have a tendency of working out. And you may be in the darkest depths of your life right now. There is light at the end of the tunnel. You're going to get out of it. You're going to thrive. You're not only going to survive, you're going to thrive. And you need to address your mental health status. So if you're feeling suicidal, you have long bouts of depression, anxiety, things of that nature, it's not a bad thing to get help. Because if you're going to get help, you're going to be a better safety professional. You're going to go back there and you're going to be able to fight that safety war against the hazards and the attitudes and everything else in the workplace that we have to endure. Or safety wars. This is Jim Posel. You can catch us online on most podcast platforms, all I know of, all the major ones, and here on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're viewing us. For Safety Wars, this is Jim Posel.
In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to safetyfm.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant, Jim Posel with Safety Wars, Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into safetyfm.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.